We're broadcasting live from London. You're with BBC World News. Also coming up in the programme, a rocky start for President Obama's signature policy. He pledges to roll up his sleeves and sort out his healthcare website.
There's no excuse for it. And I take full responsibility for making sure it gets fixed ASAP.
And we have a report from the Greek island of Lesbos, a front line in Europe's migration war.
Hello, I'm Sally Bundock. In business, nuclear fallout. The Japanese government considers the breakup of Tokyo Electric 2.5 years after the Fukushima disaster. And young and jobless, we have a special report from Italy where young people are turning to the unofficial job market for low-paid work for cash.
But first this morning, the United Nations says it's received assurances from the US that its intelligence agencies are not spying on the UN's internal communications and that it won't do so in the future. Now, this comes as a German newspaper reported that the National Security Agency had cracked UN encryption codes last year. Furthermore, there have been separate claims the NSA has hacked into communication links used by Google and Yahoo. The BBC's Tim Allman reports.
Who America spies on and how continues to be a source of controversy. The latest accusations, published in the Washington Post, come from documents released by the NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden. This time, the alleged targets were internet giants Google and Yahoo. It's claimed the NSA secretly hacked into communication links, the actual fibre optic cables connecting data centres, picking up millions of records, including text, audio and video. This information was then sifted in a programme called Muscular, run in conjunction with Britain's Government Communications Headquarters, or GCHQ. Crucially, the paper claims the data was picked up outside the US, where restrictions and legal oversight are much weaker.
I can tell you factually, we do not have access to Google servers, Yahoo servers, ... We go through a court order. We issue that court order to them through the FBI. And it's not millions, it's thousands of those that are done. And it's almost all against terrorism and other things like that. It has nothing to do with U.S. persons.
This follows claims the NSA had intercepted phone calls made by German Chancellor Angela Merkel and at least 35 other world leaders. But at least one international body seems happy to accept that it is not being spied on.
And I can tell you that we were indeed in touch with the U.S. authorities. And I understand that the US authorities have given assurances that United Nations communications are not and will not be monitored.
But the rumbles of discontent continue as the United States insists it has to protect itself. Striking the balance between security and privacy remains as hard as ever. Tim Allman, BBC News.
Well, that's not the only problem on President Obama's desk. He's also had to defend one of his flagship policies after technical problems crippled its rollout. Obamacare, as it's known, is supposed to extend health insurance to 15 million Americans who didn't previously have it. Now, it's been billed as the biggest shake-up of medical provision that the country has seen in 50 years. But there have been numerous problems with the website, and that's a central part of the reform. Here's the BBC's Nada Taufik.
Hello, Boston!
A warm welcome for President Obama. In what felt like a campaign stop, the commander-in-chief took on the role of provider-in-chief, selling the success of Obamacare.
Today, the Affordable Care Act requires insurance companies to abide by some of the strongest consumer protections this country has ever known. A true patient's Bill of Rights.
But back on Capitol Hill, it was the president's health secretary, Kathleen Sebelius, in the spotlight. In front of a congressional committee, she was forced to address Americans' frustrations with the website's failures weeks into its launch.
You deserve better. I apologize. I'm accountable to you for fixing these problems.
But even as she spoke, those who tried to log on to healthcare.gov got a now familiar error message. Republicans have used the site's problems to paint the healthcare law as a failure.
Obamacare was signed into law 1,256 days ago. And since then, there's been user problem after user problem after user problem.
And they demanded to know who's to blame.
Who is responsible for overseeing this project? Is it you or your designee?
Hold me accountable for the debacle.
Okay.
I'm responsible.
The White House has defended the health care law as one of their greatest policy achievements. And absent bipartisan support, it'll take strong presidential leadership to fix the existing problems. Neda Tawfiq, BBC News, Washington.
Now, it's Latin America's biggest ever